Good morning, everyone. It's really, truly a pleasure to be here with you all. What a wonderful event, and how exciting it's going to be to co-create the next charter over the coming days. I want to talk really a little generally about the role of universities, and very specifically about some of the things that we do, and some of the things that I believe that universities must take leadership on. So, many of you are working in universities, probably most of you have been at universities, and you have a sense of what they mean. We have a collective responsibility around creating new knowledge and understanding, education and training, and through our general activities, driving positive social and economic change. Someone much more eloquent than I once described the fundamental role of universities as holding an ongoing conversation with our history and culture and the future generations. And I think that's really broadly what it's all about. We have in-house, of course, extraordinary capacity, wonderful professors, brilliant students, and we know that we can do a lot to promote health, well-being, and sustainable practices around the globe. At this campus, you've probably heard people touting what we do, but we like to think we do some things quite well. We have responsibility, I would say, in 4 areas. Of course, the core missions of teaching and research, but through our outreach, we have social responsibilities, and we have opportunities and responsibilities in our operations on campus, and that is one of the things I'm going to talk about now. We see sustainability as fundamental to our activities here in every sense of the word. Let me just mention, to start with, environmental sustainability, a core consideration at UBC. And one example that I'll give you that you're experiencing right now is that we have one of North America's largest and most effective geothermal systems here on this campus. It's providing heating and cooling while reducing the use of fossil fuels here by 80%. The system recaptures surplus heat from one building and feeds it to others in an energy-sharing district heating system. We estimate that it will reduce by 38,000 tons our CO2 emissions over 25 years. It is, as I say, one of the largest, and we know certainly the best monitored, because being a good university, we love studying ourselves. We call it the campus as a living laboratory. In terms of social and cultural sustainability, I think you'll be hearing a lot more from my academic colleagues and some of our leaders here around the work that is going on. But let me just say that we are very actively involved in strengthening care for rural and remote communities and developing strategies to ensure Aboriginal cultural safety in the health system. These are very important areas. We've recently entered into a Healthy City partnership with the city of Kelowna. It's just wonderful that our mayor has come out for this event. We're working together with the regional health system to make sure that Kelowna becomes truly one of the healthiest cities in the world. Let me go back, though, to something that seems quite mundane and perhaps, unfortunately, you are experiencing in some way while you're here, and this is institutional food. We all love it, right? We've experienced it, those of us who've worked in universities for a long time, far too often. Institutional food services, in fact, are an enormous global business. Who uses them? Well, the biggest users are the military, hospitals, prisons, colleges, and universities. Now, I presented a paper on this about 4 years ago, but let me just give you some statistics from around 2011. And at that time in Canada, we had 60,000 military personnel, 120,000 hospital beds, and 150,000 prison inmates, all of whom, of course, are subjected to institutional food. That's a total of about 320,000 people. Now, what was the number for universities and college campuses in terms of the student population at that time? Well, the answer is that it was approximately 2.5 million students on Canadian university and college campuses. Now, if we think of this campus, you may have noticed it's not just easy to step off campus and get a good meal. You're trapped, right? You are a victim of our institutional food service. I'm not wishing to be unkind. They do a really good job. I'm sure you're having great food. But it makes us the largest users collectively. Post-secondary education in Canada are the largest users of these international institutional food purveyors. There are 3 that control most of the market, certainly in North America and in much of Europe. And these are Aramark, Sodexo, and Compass, which functions under another name as well as Chartwells in some markets. So if those names are familiar to you, you're experiencing the same international control of our food system. We know that more than 90% of the usable land surface of the planet is already changed by human activity. Most of that is for the production of our food. So I would argue, from the point of view of environmental and social sustainability, that food production for humans has to be one of our major concerns. And the way that we think about that provision, when we are ourselves globally probably the largest consumer of that food as institutions, would seem to me to be a fundamental consideration as you very wise scholars in all of your fields related to health and sustainability generate the next 10-year charter and plan. I'd like to think that we could collectively make a transformative change to the way that we as humans on this planet consider the natural resources that we all share with all of the other millions and millions of species, and collectively at our colleges and universities think about how we might make a better future for all of us, not just humans, but for the health of the ecosystem, the very health of our planet. And I believe that universities are fundamental to doing that, and I believe this is a moment when you could actually make that change in direction. So that's my plea to you. There is a very wise person, a name you may recognize, and that is David Orr, Professor Emeritus at Oberlin College, who was really one of the founding fathers of thinking about sustainability, environment and health, and post-secondary education. And he wrote that sustainability issues, and I would argue sustainability and health issues, are not the work of ignorant people, rather largely the result of work with people with BAs, BScs, LLBs, PhDs, and MBAs. In other words, we ourselves are the author of where we find ourselves. Now, I know, as a principal of this campus, I have budget responsibility, and I have a responsibility for academic leadership. And I know that put in that position, we have to think about how we provide the kinds of food services that we need to provide on campus. And very often, we delegate these effectively to our vice president's finance, to our operations managers. We cannot afford collectively as academic leaders, and I think of all of you as academic leaders and future leaders, we cannot afford to let that be. We must take ownership because we have the understanding of our environment, of the health issues, and of the pressing sustainability issues that we all face. I commend the City of Kelowna for seeing the wisdom in partnering with institutions like UBC so that we can work on these things collectively. Because it's not something that one academic or one institution or one city can do on their own. But together, we have the power to change the world. And I'm absolutely just delighted that you have chosen to take this next important step here in the Okanagan, here at Kelowna, and I wish you the very best for the rest of the conference. Unfortunately, my agenda doesn't let me stay with you for the whole time. I will be following on Twitter, and I look forward to popping in and out as my agenda permits. So thank you very much.